Hi, my name is Bunny Brunel, and you're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. We're coming to you today on location from the 2020 NAMM show, Anaheim, California, with my old friend, my good friend, my very, very, very old friend, Bunny Brunel. Hey, Bunny.
That's right. Hello, John. It's so nice to see you again,
Thank you.
every time at the NAMM show. And we got some music we can hear on the background. I don't know what it is, but I hope people will enjoy it.
Well, at NAMM it sounds kind of like noise. Well, there's music, but altogether it's kind of noise.
Yes,
But that's just NAMM. We were just talking before the interview, and we realized that we first met, I'm pretty sure it was 1983. You were playing in a club. Yeah,
83. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Where was I playing?
You were playing in a club. I can't remember which one, but you were playing with Kei Akagi on keyboards, Jerry Brown on drum. Oh, I think Jerry Brown was like a guest that you called up.
Was it Dante's?
I was just going to say, I think it might have been Dante's, yeah.
And that was the best jazz club around. It was they still had the baked potato,
Yeah.
but it was more funky or whatever. But the jazz place was actually Dante's.
Yes, I remember it well.
That's where I met the first time Clint Eastwood, that would come with his kids. He became a friend. I ended up teaching his son
Kyle.
bass. Kyle.
Clint is a real jazz fan. And Kyle, I interviewed at the Detroit Jazz Festival a few years ago. Very, very good player. And he gave me his, at the time, latest record, which I enjoyed very much. He his Boogie Stop Shuffle, Mingus, on that record, and a bunch of originals. It's a great record. But let's talk about you. We've done a few interviews on For Bass Players Only, and I just checked. The last one we did was 4 years ago at NAMM. So I understand you have something that you are very excited about right now. So why don't you share that with these nice people here and tell them what's going on?
Well, basically, always check out, there is a magazine talking about bass or whatever, and always these things lack of information for the young players. They're doing something for the pop and all that, and then they forgot to tell people who created what. So I came out with a magazine called Virtuoso Bass. Okay, I'm the editor at large, and I decided to talk about people that created, good bass player. There's a bunch of great ones nowadays, but before all that, the bass player used to do like a boom, 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 1-5 and things like that.
Are we blocking his beautiful face here, Adam? We're not blocking his face, are we? Okay, sorry.
And
You were saying boom, 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 boom.
So, I started listening to James Brown.
Yeah.
And James Brown, they had
Bernard Odom.
Yeah, Bernard Odom that was playing killer lines. It was like interesting. At the same time, I was playing a jazz, a pride bass. So for me, listening to the funk bass, that was interesting. That was better than boom, boom. It's like, and I started listening to him playing all the bass line of James Brown. It's funny because I went to see a movie for James Brown. I could have played all the lines. I knew all the bass lines. And then, of course, you have Otis Redding, you have Booker T and the MGs.
Right.
With
Duck Dunn.
Donald Duck Dunn, That's these people who created that type of line. And, of course, a lot of records. I actually bought a book, Carol Kay. Carol Kay had all those bass lines that she came out with. Amazing, with a pick. She played with a pick, but she played very well with it. She had a good sound, and they used to hire her because she could sight read very well. And for the big session, they would have her playing the bass because she would play the funky thing, I could read and all that. And that's for the electric bass. But basically, when as I say, I play the pride bass, jazz and all that thing, I started listening to the first one was Willie Dixon, And after we went to Oscar Peterson, with all those bass players, fantastic, Dave Brubeck and all that. And I was listening to some people playing bass solos, and it sounded like a mystery for me, like bum 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 bim bum 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 bum. It was like a, and I didn't like that. I wanted to solo. I wanted to play solo. I wanted to sound it like a Coltrane. I wanted to sound Herbie Hancock, And I started practicing playing phrasing and all that on the bass, on the acoustic bass and the electric bass. And one day, a friend of mine, I was at his house, a bass player. He said, "Oh, listen to that." And he put a record. It was Bill Evans at Montreux Jazz Festival with Eddie Gomez. It was a bass solo, Embraceable You. And listen, he said, you see, that's what I want to do. I'm in the right direction, So, and then I find out that you had Gary Peacock, Scott LaFaro and thing before him. And I listened to all those guys, but I already have some kind of a style already. But at least that gave me, the thing that's saying, oh, you're doing the right thing.
So this all culminated into a magazine?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So what is the magazine about?
That's what it is. I want to have people listening to those players that are definitely who started the whole thing, and that were playing bass, by the way. They're not playing just solos. They would play the bass. You have Stanley Clarke also is one of those that you listen to him playing solos, but when he plays the bass, he's playing the bass. And that's the thing that I tell all the kids. Remember, you want to be a bass player? If you want that to be your job, you have to play the bass. You have to have the pocket. Because if you don't do that, nobody's hire you. If you play only bass solos, you're not going to have any gigs. And I tell people, just play the bass. That's what you listen to all the great bass players that are working a lot, like Nathan East, Liz Clark, Marcus Miller and all that, Victor Wooten. They actually play the bass when they're playing the bass. They can play solos and things, but Liz Clark doesn't really play solo, for instance. He's the bass. He plays just bass, and he's the guy that works all the time. Why? Because if somebody wants a bass player, they want somebody to play the freaking bass. They don't need a guitar player.
That is a badge of honor with Leland. How many solos have you taken? None. And he's proud of that. He says, serve the song. By the way, this is good advice. I want to give a shout out to all of our new members at ForBassPlayersOnly.com who signed up for our online bass instruction. This is great advice from Bunny Brunel. So thank you for sharing your experience and your wisdom with our folks here.
Leave out, like Nathan East, Stubenhaus, Neil Stubenhaus.
Yep.
These are the people on all the recording. Why? Because they play the bass.
Tell me about your gear.
About what?
Your gear. What kind of bass do you play? What kind of strings do you use?
I designed a bass for ESP. They have the LTD Bunny Brunel, 5-string fretless and 4-string, and they did a fantastic job. My original design was actually in 1986 was for Gibson. They did that for about 5 years. They were not really making it, so I left Gibson, and for a while I was with Carvin.
Right, I remember.
Carvin did a beautiful job with the bass, the woodmanship, fantastic, the preamp, everything good, but they never copied my design. So I tried. So finally I went with ESP, and I just gave ESP the Gibson. They copied it exactly, and they put like a great pickup. Have like a Aguilera pickup and electronic, and it's just perfect. They did it.
Last interview we did was at ESP upstairs, if you remember. What kind of string? You've played labella strings for a while, right?
That's right. I've been playing a labella for forever. It's just I was introduced to labella by the name is going to come back. The bass player of with Mahavishnu, Rick Laird.
Oh boy, that's going back.
Rick Laird was talking. He was
that was like early '70s. He was with or sometime in the '70s.
Yeah, he was in '79 when I met him and all that. and it was at an AM show. It was an AM show, and he recognized me and said, "Oh man, you should try those strings." And okay, do you have like a round one and thing? He said, "Oh yeah." He says he got me some strings, and what I find fantastic about them, not only the sound is perfect and all that, it's just I used to use Roto Sound at the time, and Roto Sound, they sounded great for 3 hours. So I used to do the sound check and put a new set of strings to play the gig. So when I was Chick Corea, I always do the sound check, and then I call the guy who's doing the equipment. "Hey Duncan, can you change my strings?" So and the guy, would change the strings, and then I put a set of La Bella, and I didn't have to change them. They sounded forever.
Yeah, La Bella's great. What about amps?
Amps, well, I have I was with Carbine for quite a while, and all that, and I'm playing right now with some Eden amplifiers, and but it's not quite what I want. So I was talking to Ampeg. I think they have some new one, because Ampeg, the problem there was the size of those things. They were monsters, but they came out with some really small ones. So I'm probably gonna switch to that, because they are wedges. I like the idea to put the wedge next to me, put one on the back for the band, and like that you don't have to blast the bass from the back, So I'm probably gonna use that. I just talked to them today, and it's very.
To talk to Dino?
Yeah, to Dino. They have a very small one. If you do a really small gig with a Pride bass, they have a medium one. They have all the kind, and they all wedges, which that's what I like.
How about effects? You use many effects?
I usually have I basically use a volume pedal, and I use a reverb and delay, and that's it. I never use anything.
What kind? Which manufacturers?
Right now I have a Digitech and all the Digitech pedal. I was trying to get some new of a thing for the last 2 years, and they're not really working on it, because they had a bunch of things for the bass. So probably gonna change, and because I believe even Ampeg has some great pedals, so probably gonna do that. Well, you have to keep it up.
Yes. Well, congratulations on the new publication, Virtuoso Bass. When will this be available to the public?
This is going to be in spring. That's the thing. That's what the.
Do you have a precise date? Do you know that yet, or do you have a precise date, or just sometime in the spring? Okay, sometime in the spring, Virtuoso Bass, much needed publication by Bunny Brunel. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes to sit down with us. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the new magazine, and we will look forward to seeing and hearing lots more great stuff from you.
With you, John. You're the best. You're helping bass players all the time. You're one of the greatest men I know around. So here's the man.
Wow. Thank you very much.
You are.
Well, I think very highly of you as well. On location at the 2020 NAMM show with my good friend Bunny Brunel. I'm John Liebman. You're watching the #1 site for exclusive one-on-one bass player interviews, and now more and more people's favorite site for learning bass online. That's forBassPlayersOnly.com. Once again, I'm John Liebman. Let's play bass.